So you've described cancer as a teacher. Looking back, what's the biggest revelation during this time?
Many revelations, honestly speaking. But the main thing is how important the health is in our lives. And I didn't care two hoots about the health before. I hadn't realized it. We have so many people falling sick and also been impacted with cancer, but till it doesn't happen to you personally, our eyes are never opened. At least mine didn't. And when I was in the hospital bed, I realized, man, I could be the most richest person, I could be the most famous person, but here I am, helpless, praying to divine that, I get a second chance to life. So that means, if we don't, there's a cliche saying health is wealth, but that's in a truest sense. If you are in good health, that's a true wealth.
Oh, I love that. Thank you. In your memoir, Healed, your opening line is, "I don't want to die." How did confronting that fear shape who you are today?
It changed everything. How I saw life, how I perceived life, how I wanted to live, everything. When I was diagnosed with last stage of cancer, death I thought was very near. And when I kept on looking in for the answers in doctors' eyes, because I thought they were being polite to me and they could be lying to me and blah, blah, blah. But I used to search in their eyes, are they telling me the truth? And I thought, death is my next destination. And I surely wasn't ready for it because I hadn't lived well. And so I wasn't ready to die. But it changed me in ways that I can't explain. When I faced my own mortality, when I realized I was going to die, or this is the end, I said, oh my God. So what did I do with last 40 years of my time on this planet? Did I use it well? Was I happy to be alive? I used to get bogged down with small little problems and made that into a huge mountain. It's only when you see from a bird's eye view rather than a worm's eye view, you see, then you say, oh my God, this is nothing. It's a hurdle, I'll pass through. It's a fall down, I'll pass through, I'll get up. It's a heartbreak, I will cry my heart out, but I'll walk away, I'll be fine. There's so many things, but I would be saying, okay, this is the end of the world and blah, blah, blah. A lot of melodrama, which kind of got washed away.
I'm just going to touch on something you said about being happy. What do you think you could have done previously, or what do you do now that makes you really happy?
A lot of things. I'm a human being. I will get disappointed. My heart will get broken. I will be sad. I will be crushed. But at the same time, I will cry my heart out and I'll say, no, this is not the end of the world. There's more to life, there's more. So I would just brush it off my shoulder and I'll move on. So that sense of acceptance of life in whatever form it comes came to me after cancer. And then life is never perfect. Life will never happen according to my wishes and my dreams. Life is full of surprises. But at the same time, if I am rooted in my joy, in my own self, and say, okay, I'll take this on too. It's fine. I'm tougher than that, tougher than this problem. So, happiness, sadness, joy, everything is welcome. Everything's welcome.
Do you feel, in a bizarre way, after this has happened to you, do you feel happier now than you did?
Any day. I know there is this gratefulness that I'm alive. There is an eye that has opened up to the simple pleasures of life, the joys of life, walking barefoot in the grass, walking in the park, looking at the trees, looking at the birds, looking at the dogs, looking at the cats, looking at so many things. You know, there's so much of bliss all around us. And I started noticing all that, and it's beautiful to be able to see such things, in our lives, which is normally we tend to take it for granted.
Cancer can be isolating. You said your mum's support was pivotal. Can you describe a moment just one moment that she really carried you through?
Oh my goodness, she carried me through everything. You know, the pain of a daughter who sees her elder parents looking after her is humongous. I can't begin to explain to you how guilty I felt that this is the age I should be looking after them, and here they are looking after me. And I could hear the whispers of the nurses at the hospital. She has older parents looking after her, you know, and I was like, shit, man. So, but my goodness, my mom, whenever there's a crisis in the family, she rises up like, you know, she takes control of everything. She would wake up 4 a.m. and make me a paya soup. I hated it because I'm not a paya soup person, but she would force me to drink that. And there was a time one of the injection which makes white blood cells or something, it goes to the bones and it's humongously painful. You know, and that pain I couldn't bear in the middle of my treatment, and I was crying, and mom came into the room and I said, Mom, let me go. I can't take this pain. She fired me. She said, what will happen to us? Can you imagine if you give up? We are here so that you don't give up, you know. So she was like a rock, and she put me back on the track of, no, I need to keep the faith and I need to keep going. And I want to say the same thing for my dad, because my dad was holding my hand once again like a toddler to encourage me to walk one step, another step, another step. Then we would walk through the room, then we would walk through the corridor, you know. So my parents' contribution in my healing process is big. It's huge.
The diagnosis likely shifted your perspective on your craft. Did it influence how you approach acting or choose any of the roles that you now play?
So, you know, the thing is, I definitely didn't want to do a dark subjects. I definitely didn't want to do anything which will need me to be in the studio more than 8 hours. When they make such a big thing about Deepika working 8 hours, I said, God, I am like that, because I want to work for 9 to 5, 9 to 6 at the most. I don't want to work for long hours because my body needs rest and stuff like that after the cancer treatment. But when I was doing Hiramandi, I broke all those rules that I had put for myself. And I have worked long hours. I have done a dark role, you know, emotionally dark role. And actually, throughout the process, I have enjoyed it. So yes, there were boundaries that I created for myself. But when a project is that great, I'm willing to put that aside and go all out.
I'm going to ask you about the bicycling now. So you've literally, you know, when cycling in London, you've literally and metaphorically taken your life back into your own hands. What does that freedom feel like now?
Oh, it feels great. The thing is, I promised myself that I'll look after myself no matter what. And I do that. I prioritize everything. And there is a sense of responsibility, there is a sense of freedom, there is, of course, I deviate sometimes. I'm human and I want to, you know, I will err, but I automatically bring back. So there's an alert system which is there that, okay, I'm not going to deviate. Okay, I've deviated, but I'm going to just, so it's a responsibility and I'm enjoying it.
First of all, how do you see education playing a role in healing these families? And what legacy do you hope that Overcome or your fund leaves in, worldwide, globally?
Okay. So basically, education plays a huge role. There's a lot of misinformation goes on about cancer. And I realized that when I was diagnosed and there was only dark results. Everybody was like, if I Google stage 4 ovarian cancer, it's only people who've passed, and not much of hope. So I desperately needed some positive news. And I started researching and figuring out, and I found a certain thing where I could touch base. Then when I met my doctor in Sloan Kettering, I was asking, and he also confirmed. He's saying, yeah, he has a patient who's lived beyond 25 years. So I think for me, right information should reach to everybody. I have seen in places where the families, in the remote places in our part of the world, where families get stigmatized and separated and as if they're untouchables, and if you touch them, it'll go on to their kids as well. So, as such, the kid who's diagnosed with cancer is suffering and the family is suffering, and then society doesn't accept it. That is I think, so inhuman. So we need to educate people to be more compassionate and caring and say, look, this is not something you will get after touching, so things like that. And plus, I think my legacy in terms of thing is to give hope to people, to say that, human will, I've written that in my book. I've said that human will is stronger than we realize. We are stronger than we realize, because I think when we put our mind and I focus on certain things, we can achieve almost most of the things.
What you referred to earlier, where you could catch cancer, that's one of the myths. But I'm guessing, with your Mythbuster campaign, what are the most bizarre, weirdest myths that you're busting?
As I said, people were thinking that you'll catch cancer if you touch a cancer patient. That's bizarre. And also a lot of cancer is not a death sentence. There is life and perhaps a better life after the diagnosis, but the responsibility is onto you. What quality of life you want to lead. Everything is of responsibilities on us. So cancer is not death sentence. There is life beyond cancer, and if you want, you can have a better life after cancer.
Absolutely. How would you challenge the culture of stigma and empower women to speak up early?
Yeah, I think first of all, women should realize how strong they are. With cancer or without cancer, I think women make half of the population, and they are the womb of this world. So they need to know how important they are. And of course, women, once they realize, are empowered themselves, can decide, what they should be doing. What happens with our part of the world societies is women are caregivers, and they're not trained to look after themselves, unfortunately. So we need to really talk about how important it is for women to look after themselves. Of course, they should look after their families, but prioritize yourself, please. You're so needed. You're so much valued, and so prioritize your health and speak up at every time what you need, whether it's your health, whether your emotional health, your mental health, everything. Just speak up, go and get it. We need to break a lot of boundaries for ourselves, for our sanity, for our health. We need to be the leaders of our own health, of our own well-being.
Absolutely, I love that. Manisha and I and the team of Luxurist would really like to thank you, thank Media Hive, thank Overcome, Manisha, it's been a pleasure. I wish it was longer, but maybe next time.
Hi, if you are ever concerned regarding your health,
or God forbid, if you've been diagnosed with any form of cancer, please contact Overcome. They do phenomenally great work in supporting people who've been diagnosed. I always say this, prioritize your health, and early diagnosis, early catching cancer early is curable. So if there's any worries that you're going through, please contact Overcome. A huge shout out to Luxurist